right. Good evening, everybody. All those who are coming in, those who may be watching. Thank you for joining us today. We'll be here with Darian, who is the author of No Rest previous series, and of course, my brother here, TD McIntosh, co-author and also writer of Zero Epoch, Hollow Fable, and what was the other one? Oh, and Grimoire. This man got all sorts of stuff in the works. So just keep an eye on this man. He got a lot of stuff in the works. And before we get started, I just want to thank all 504 subscribers who have joined up, those who have signed up for our Kickstarter. Just want to show this really quick as well. If you guys have not signed up for the Kickstarter, please go ahead and sign up for the Kickstarter. It'll start on September 1st. And so that way you guys can see and get the alert when this thing gets started. You guys can go ahead and pledge and that sort of thing. We're trying to get as far as like 75 books into your hands. So the first 75 people will get a copy, an actual copy of Burrow and the Blade. So just be sure you guys do that.
Order now.
Well, sign up now at least. Yeah, sign up now. Let me just take a look and see what's on this side here. I want to make sure everything's set up. Yeah, we're good. We're good. So today we're going to be talking about a couple of things. For one, what inspires us to write. We'll be talking a little bit more about behind the scenes when it comes to the books that we're writing. Of course, Darren, he is writing his own separate series called the No Rest previous series. So I wanted him to go ahead and talk a little bit more about his book. What inspired him to write first? I'll give him the floor first. And then after that, we'll get into the Burrow and the Blade, Koran, and all these other things. So, Darren, if you want to go ahead and give a little bit about yourself real quick, go ahead and tell us why you started writing No Rest.
Okay, so my name is Darian D. Landrum across all platforms. And, you know, I've been making content for quite a while. But when it comes to writing or reading, I always like a sense of adventure or something that'll take me out of reality. I love epic adventure. I love created worlds. And so when it comes to reading, that's what I like. Now, as a writer, I aspire to always, I like to write what people want to read. I like to take people out of their reality, but I also like to always teach something. You know what I'm saying? There's always some kind of lesson behind what I write. Um, so that's the whole point of the previous series is like whenever I write something, I might not always understand what I write. Like I used to do poetry, and sometimes I would do a poem, and later on in life, I would be like, "Wow, I didn't know that this was almost kind of prophetic." I'm like, this is something I need to write now in this time. I wrote it a long time ago, didn't understand it, but I needed it for this moment right here. And so whenever I write, um, I take that into consideration. The privy penman, you know what I'm saying? We have to understand that being privy, it means a bathroom. It does, but it also has two other
Wait,
meanings.
wait, wait, wait. You said privy means bathroom?
Yeah,
In
I,
England, sometimes they call it the privy. Oh, I have
yeah,
to
I
go hit
told
the
him that.
privy. Well, I been knew it. It's they like I gotta go hit the privy, whatever the case may be. But it also has two other meanings to it as well. To be privy is to be known of something, or to be
Okay.
made known of something. It's
That's the only
like,
way I've ever heard it as. I didn't know
hmm
I didn't know
I,
yep,
bathroom was a thing. So yeah, you just shared something new to me.
yep. It's
I,
to be made known of something, or to be made known of where.
I
And it
learned
also means to be put off into like a secret place.
I learned that word from Arabian Nights, the miniseries, where somebody literally got sucked into a toilet and you stink. So would you, sire, if you spent all night in a privy? And I said, is that their word for toilet?
Right. But
Just
yeah,
I'm
that's
gonna use
pretty
that from
much
now
it.
on. So Darren, I'm gonna call you the bathroom.
Oh
Now
goodness.
let's not do that. Let's not do that. We
But
don't
when I
need no. We don't need that to be out there.
When I first saw that name, I'm going like, is he calling himself the duty writer or something? I'm going like,
Honestly,
I need to tell him.
honestly, that the name came to me. I believe God gave me the name. Um, he called me his privy penman because sometimes I'm not always aware of the things that I write, and so I just write it, and sometimes it holds a deeper meaning, sometimes it doesn't. You know what I'm saying? So that's I'm privy to the things that I write because it's
Okay.
like a download, if that makes sense. A
Yeah, yeah,
lot of
yeah.
the time, so that's where the whole privy theme comes from. You know?
Hmm.
I got you then. All right, that makes sense. That makes more sense. And then just to continue that going on, I'm gonna go last, but TD, kind of give like your take as well. Kind of give like because I know we've done this in our live stream, but this is like what the second live stream we've done in like 2 months, I think, or 3 months. I forgot what the last one was.
2.
Yeah, yeah. So go ahead and give a little bit about yourself, and then what inspired you to go ahead and write.
Hey y'all, TD McIntosh. Been in the game for about 15 years and feeling it. Um, what inspired me to write? Zelda, The Legend of Zelda: A Link to the Past. When I was 3, I wanted to write something like that. To this day, I keep saying I want to write something like Zelda. Is like every epic fantasy project I come up with is like Zelda. Um, like I just finished a story about what if Zelda, the Minish Cap, and Harvest Moon was together. So I just went off of that. It's more like every time I look at something epic fantasy, I'm going like, why can't you be more like Zelda? That's like always like the gold standard I hold things for. I mean, hold things to. That and Aragon. Um,
Yep.
for Koron, what inspired me from that was D&D. Um, More specifically, a campaign I was in that was dreadfully boring. And I thought it was going to be like some good role play, but no, it was just a bunch of debauchery. And I didn't want Koron to go through that. They said, you know, a barbarian would love this, right? And I said, well, Koron's not that kind of barbarian.
Oh, hold up. Oh, oh, I just muted Darren for a minute because I heard a lot of background. I think his headset's off. But
Yeah.
go ahead,
Uh,
finish up though.
and Azure Epic, that came because I love adventure, like stuff like Indiana Jones and The Mummy. So I said I want to write something like that. Then I came across a game called Power Stone when I was a kid. Power Stone and Skies of Arcadia. So Azure Epic is the adventure of Indiana Jones, um, the feel of Power Stone, and it being centered in the sky, like Skies of Arcadia. Um, Let me see if I can like just show
Yeah. If you got
some.
any art or anything like you want to share, go ahead and share it too, so people can see it.
Yeah, let me. Um, I'm pretty sure my device can handle it. Talking about if you want to share any video, make sure your device can handle it. I'm pretty sure it can. Thank you.
And
Thank you very
while
much.
and while he's doing that, I just want to welcome the people who are watching. I definitely see you guys there. Um, we'll be talking about what inspired us to write, and of course, we'll get into the Bird and Blade. We'll talk about Sagas of Glory, all that stuff. We got our guest here, Darren, who is the author of No Rest in the Privy series. So we'll be diving a little bit more into his book as well. What we also want to try to do is try to give more exposure to other authors that you may not have known of, and maybe you'll want to go ahead and sign up and look at some of their stuff. So let me see what TD got here.
Come on, Mr. Rumble. Only you have the right amount of know-how to come onto this project. Plus, you're on ground level with them. What's their name again?
The Venture Corps. If you're not going to remember our names, why even blow smoke up my butt?
What is that supposed to mean?
Clearly you can't find it on your own. The GSA's bigwigs finally come to me. Always some government nub that wants to swoop in and play chess master.
I'm sorry. First off, let me apologize for not saying earlier. Thanks for agreeing to meet with me.
My sister and I already went over this. It's not a good move for us. So with that in mind, have a good day, Agent. Also, I'm not fond of empty apologies. Try to sound more upbeat next time.
You've no idea how close we are. We can give you the push you need.
You GSA agents put so much money into being on top. You got more warships in the sky, but no healthcare. You want me to help you get stronger. I'm a Rumble. I can walk right into your office and tell you to shove it. There's not a thing you can do to me. We're too valuable to you.
We can create untold amounts of renewable energy. By studying the properties of this mineral, it's a matter of global advancement. The Ragnarium.
That's literally word for word what I said in my notes. Besides, you expect me to believe you GSA fruitcakes really want to bring free, clean energy to the world? No strings attached? Sorry, but it's not my scene.
War might be on the horizon. We need something to tip the scales. Come on, Rumble. Together, we'll change this world. You probably have an expedition that needs funding. Like a voyage beyond the veil? You find the gem for us on Cardinal Island, and you'll have unlimited credit with the GSA. A nice accomplishment for Dr. Rumble's son.
You're making us sound like pirates. You think I'll roll on my friends? We'll find the gem first. The world needs energy more than it does warmongering. Be seeing you.
You'll regret this, Rumble, you and your friends.
Hey, Lena, it's me. What's up on your side?
We got it. All shiny and glossy.
Sweet.
See you back on the Gunbird?
Yep, the GSA's gonna try to pull a fast one. Let's play then. This whole blue world's ours for the taking. Here comes the Venture Corps.
Now, I did that, you know, with AI, yeah. But
Wait, that was with AI?
yeah,
The voices, you mean?
it
That
took me
is-
like 3 days and a lot of Passovers to make sure it gets right. Like that was just like an example of how I want it to sound.
That sounded legit. Like I thought you actually had like someone acting that out for you. So I didn't, I couldn't tell. That was really good because a lot of time, and this is why I tell people all the time when they're using like the AI stuff until they get the money for voice actors, is that you really have to just tweak it a lot because AI just sounds robotic until you do the work for it. So that right there sounded really, really good.
Yeah, I tweaked it a lot. Had to change inflections on some parts, and there are a lot of voice actresses who sound similar. So I had to decide on voices and how the characters would sound. Like I know Lena, who he was talking to on the phone at the end, is always sounding kind of sort of like irritated and deadpan. So that took me a while to find that voice.
Yeah.
Boy, speak how you just said working with AI till you can do better. Boy, this voice actress that I knew, she got mad that I didn't ask her to help out. And I said bluntly, are you willing to do it for free? Because I don't have money to hire you. Still, how are you going to feel when people start using AI for writing? Well, don't come crying to me when AI takes your job. And I'm going like, okay, I wasn't crying to you in the first place.
All right, but that sounded really, really good. I like it. I like it a lot. So if you guys, for those who are just joining in, I see Steve in there. Check out Azure Epoch. The name of the Facebook page that he got is called The Seeker's Journal. I'll put that into the comment section in a little bit, so that way you guys can go ahead and just hop on over there, like his stuff, and just see what he got coming up next time. But yeah, he's still working on that. So he's doing that plus Koran. He's doing a lot of stuff. I'm not sure how he's doing it.
And and Desmond, you read Azure Epic. Why don't you tell them what you think about it?
Yeah, so Azure Epic. Now, I'm a big sci-fi guy, so this really appealed to me. And of course, the style and how it's being portrayed, it does fit for an adaptation, like for anime or manga. I think it would translate better as a manga or anime than it would an actual novel. To be honest with you, that's really the thing, because the visuals, the stuff that you talk about in there is he's very detailed as far as like how he describes the world, how he describes the power sources. I don't want to give out anything that's going to spoil. So I'm trying not to say nothing, but at the same, it's really good. It's it's like a mix for me. It's like a mix of a little bit of Indiana Jones, like a little bit of Fallout too, though. Because if you guys are familiar with Fallout, Fallout is like this, 1950s plus, very futuristic. But his is like what yours 1930s, I think it is.
Yeah.
Yeah, plus futuristic. So I like that. I like that mix. So yeah, he's very talented as far as like how he puts it all together. So yeah, take a look at it, guys. I'll put the link into the description.
And hey, Miles.
What's going on, Miles? I see you. He said
Miles,
good.
Miles
He
is
said good
one
at
of
hate spoilers.
Miles is one of my oldest friends. You can literally ask him. When we were kids, I brought over my Dreamcast, and he did not know what a Dreamcast was, or at least he acted like he didn't.
We all know what a Dreamcast is. Man, that was the hottest thing out there at the time.
I don't know. He act like, oh, he ain't know what it was, or found it unfathomable that I would have one, because PlayStation 2 was out by that point. And in other words, in the friend group, I was the one who always had the quirky games and stuff.
Oh yeah. And Darren, let me say this too, as far as Darren's book, because I only read a chapter of it, but his is very poetic.
I mean, it's poetic.
Yeah, and then he infuses a lot of music into his storytelling, because you'll see with the main characters. As a matter of fact, before I get into the Burn the Blade and all that, hey Darren, are you still there?
Darian's having technical difficulties,
Okay.
I imagine.
I was trying to get away from all the noise.
Oh, okay. That's better now. I was gonna say, if you could kind of give them like a little rundown of your characters, and then your infusion of like music into your story.
Okay, well, as far as my characters, yeah, to screw the setup, I had to move. But as far as my characters, they're all biblically based. So you have Deborah, Esther, Priscilla, you have Delilah, you have Jezebel, you have Absalom. You know what I'm saying? You have all the names from biblical sources, but it's not very preachy. If it has more of an allegory sense to it. Anyway, that's basically how my characters came about. I do take small aspects from the characteristics from the people in the Bible, like Deborah. She was a judge, very assertive, and she was a strong woman. And so, of course, in the book, my character Deborah, she displays the same traits, um, and everything like that. But as far as the story goes, you know what I'm saying? It's a saga, so there's 7 books in it, and I just wanted to start off with book 1, just to, you know what I'm saying, and then novellas also, by the way. And
Right.
so maybe like 40,000 words a book, stuff like that.
Oh, that's
And
not bad.
yeah, so I also wanted to mention the power system. I don't like to call it magic. Um, I will more so call it a power system, because it's not like spells or spell casting or using gems and things like that. It's more so um the gifts that God give, but more physical, if that makes sense.
Yeah, no, I get you. I get what you're saying. They're
Yeah, so
like physical metaphors for what the Bible talks about. Yeah, I get what you're saying.
yeah, and it's more fantastical, so that
Yeah,
it's more interesting. You know what I'm saying? And
right.
so it's like a physical display of the power that God gives, and they rely on His power instead of power from other objects. And so that's why I'm very weary when they say your magic system, and I don't have a magic system, but I do have a power system. But
Right.
yeah, so basically it's just an epic fantasy type deal. You combine fantasy with something that's faith structured. Growing up, I used to love Harry Potter. I used to love the world of Harry Potter. I
Lord
used
of
to
the Rings is
love
better.
Lord of the Rings. I used to love Lord of the Rings, Harry Potter, CSL. What's this? What's C.S. Lewis? My brain
Chronicles of
is
Narnia.
Chronicles of Narnia. I just love all those things. And fun fact, something that all three of them have in common: they're all Christian writers. If you
Yep.
did not know, J.K. Rowling is a Christian.
Oh, by the way, I want to add this to what you just said because I learned this from TD. The creator of Zelda made Zelda to be a Christian-based game too. I didn't know that, and so TD brought that up.
Wow.
Because Shigeru Miyamoto can't help but take inspiration from it, because there are so many Christian allegories in it. Like in Link to the Past, when you get the Book of Medora, it's literally it literally looks like a Bible, but they had to change it coming over to America. But you can't change the animation. When Link uses it, it literally looks like he's praying. And
Yeah.
then the original title of Zelda in Japan of Link to the Past is Zelda no Densetsu Triforce of the Gods. So coming over to America, of course, oh no, we don't want Christian allegories. So it went from Triforce of the Gods to A Link to the Past. Although I don't see anything concerning
I
the
heard of
past
that.
in the plot.
No,
I
that's
did hear
interesting.
that
And then
concerning Zelda.
talking about it's a sanctuary when it's clearly a church. And oh, the priest. Oh, you mean the pastor?
Oh, speaking of, let me add this too because Steve just brought up something too. He said Tolkien actually helped lead C.S. Lewis in Christ. I didn't even know that. I knew they were.
Oh
I knew they were.
wow!
I knew
didn't
they
know
were
that.
close friends, but I didn't know he actually led him to Christ. So that's great.
Wow,
Mm,
I did not know that.
I
But
know they
yeah,
had.
that's just something I always wanted to entangle because I'm a man of faith. You know what I'm saying? Straight
Right.
up. And so sometimes I have to tell myself, pull it back a little bit. You're not preaching. So I just I try to implant things here and there because I want to give Christians a way to enjoy an epic fantasy without putting their faith in risk. Because some things in Harry Potter, you got to make sure you don't go too far in and things like that. And so I want to introduce adventure, a power system, a new world without delving so deeply into witchcraft, if that makes sense. And so it's basically also the privy. It's a safe place. I didn't mention that. Not only does it
Mhm.
mean to be made known of something or to go off secretly into a place, but it's also a safe space. And so anything that comes from the privy, from my thing, is to be a safe space of enjoyment and some place where people can come and just unwind and adventure things like that.
Right. No, that's cool though. I like how you got that set up. I'm looking forward to when you get the first one out. When's the first book going to be released?
Very soon. So I have this thing where I edit and edit and edit and edit. But the book is complete. I'm just tightening up some things here and there. And I'm looking to release it within the next 2 months.
Okay, cool. All right, so we'll be releasing like around the same time almost then, because let me see. I'd say October 1st is when the actual release is going to be. We've got the Kickstarter first, and then we'll have the actual release of the book. So, no, I think that's cool. All right. Well, I'm looking forward to this now. And I was just thinking about what Steve just said. He's talking about C.S. Lewis and Tolkien being close friends, and I'm thinking about us here, writing together and that
Hmm.
sort of thing. Yeah, I think we're brought together for a reason.
Yeah.
To show forth our talents for the Lord, and of course, bringing entertainment as well. So, I guess just give you guys a little background as well. Actually, I'm gonna show you guys. So I've been writing just as a hobby since I was like 4. Right, my mom. She used to write notes whenever she's listen to like Bible studies on the radio and that sort of thing. So when I was 4 years old, I'll be trying to copy her and write stuff. And so over time, I got into other books as well. I started reading like Robin Hood, which is like my favorite. I guess you would say historical fiction. Lord of the Rings, The Hobbit, C.S. Lewis, King Arthur, all these different characters. Troy, the the Odyssey, so many different stories that I've read since I was a kid, and it inspired me to go ahead and just continue writing. And of course, my mom had her own stories that she'd tell. And so you think about the main characters that have in the story in the Bird of Blade. You got Bayback, you got Jim, you got Jay. And someone asked me a while back, why do you call these guys Jim and Jane? Because my mom, for some reason she called those two Jim and Jane. I said, look, I'm not going to change it. I know it may break immersion a little bit, but again, it's out of respect for my mom. It's out of inspired by her, so I keep those two names in. But as far as like Baybacks, Tim, all these things that came from my mom, and so one day my mom was like, you gotta make a book. And so this is like a little bit before I met TD. And I was like, yeah, you're right. Just put all these stories together. And so, it gave me a head start. And eventually I met TD. He was like, he got Koran. I started working on that with him. I was like, no, he brought this up, I think. And he was just like, let's combine this together. And so we started making like a shared universe. And then this thing just started really just rapidly growing. And just kind of show you guys as well, like, my roots. Let me show you guys this really quick. So, I'm over here drawing stuff, Now, this is an old concept I had. It was called Heaven's Heroes. And I wanted to make a manga. So that's the only way I actually knew how to, tell the story and draw. So you guys can kind of see. I always had anthropomorphic animals. So Plum Rabbit is literally like Bayback's metaphor from, Burrow and the Blade. So that's import, literally. Some of the bad guys right there. So, I really enjoy doing this since I was a kid, and I shared that the synopsis and the cover in a Facebook group. 3,000 people started liking it, and I was like, shoot, all right, let's go and take this serious, and it just started growing and growing after that. So, the story itself, it's complete, but just like just like Darren here, I'm over here doing the editing process, so. That there takes a while. I would say I'm at 650 pages right now. And so that might increase, that might decrease. Right now it's just going back and forth as I do editing, start taking things out, putting things back in. So just a quick shout out to Ashley, Sage, and Bria. These three women right here, they've been doing an excellent job editing my book.
They have.
Yeah. Absolutely awesome work when it came to doing that. That may have actually saved me a lot of money when it comes to getting an editor, because they've been going deep diving on this. So that's been absolutely great. Shout out to Aurora as well, who's been liking every single post we've been putting out there.
And Steve, yes, it was inspired by Redwall.
Oh, and yes, yeah. It's funny I didn't mention that up front. So Redwall is also a big part of my upbringing as well. You think about Brian Jacks and his whole series of characters like Martin the Warrior. So instead of Martin, I was like, I like that concept. So I got Mirrors over here. So, Mirrors is my, reinterpretation of that. And of course, she's different, but at the same time, very much inspired by Martin the Warrior. And then you had Matt DeMeo, you had Matthias, all these great characters from Redwall. It just inspired me to create this. So you think about Redwall, you think about Lord of the Rings, you think about Chronicles of Narnia. Everything I liked growing up, I just kind of put that all together. So, it worked out pretty good for me.
Yeah, same. So with my story, I did want to combine all these worlds. I would just say they inspired me. Like we said, like the Chronicles of Narnia, Harry Potter, even Game of Thrones, Lord of the Rings. I like all of that. It's just like something that takes you out of reality, like I've said before. And so when it comes to my story, I'm very character driven. You know what I'm saying? I do like the plots and everything like that, and I do like the storylines. But when I write, I like to make the reader fall in love with the character and with their stories. And so the thing with Deborah, she's going through this brokenhood. You know what I'm saying? She's been at her wit's end. She's been at her lowest point. But I also like to tie in the fact that sometimes when we're at our lowest point, you know what I'm saying, that's really when God can really use us, you know what I'm saying? So it's like a redemptive type deal. My story is very redemptive, and so you will see some characters make a comeback. Maybe they started off evil, but they kind of redeemed. You know, that type of deal. Um, but yeah, there's a lot of tragic loss. You know what I'm saying in the story. It's a roller coaster. You know what I'm saying. And I don't know. I just That's just some of the things I aim for, and in my story, um, I just really hope that I can convey that idea clearly and concisely. That's why I edit and I edit and I edit. You know.
No, I like that. Go ahead, TD.
What I was gonna say is piggybacking off of what you said about not calling it a magic system because you didn't want to delve into witchcraft. There are ways around that because, of course, I use
Mhm.
magic in mine, but the way I say it is that it comes from God. Even
Mhm.
in Hollow Fable, with it being dark and gothic, they still got magic from God. Like literally in the lore, the first instance of magic, which is called Arcana Craft, came from God and it was given to Merlin, which he just taught to everybody else, and only certain people can use it. But if you use it to crash out, what people in Hollow Fable don't know, your efficacy goes down because God's saying, I didn't tell you to do that. So yeah, let me turn you down. There we go.
Mhm.
The way I look at it is like this is pretty much comes from me growing up. I knew the difference. Well, let me kind of give you guys a little more background. I grew up studying apologetics, so there was Christian investigators who would go behind the scenes and start giving you information about different groups and that sort of stuff, and giving like a Christian perspective on all these things. And so, like growing up, I understood the difference between actual witchcraft versus fiction, fantasy and that sort of thing. So, I grew up enjoying Pokemon and all that for a little bit until
Mhm.
my cars got thrown out. you know. But over time, what is it? I got my mom into World of Warcraft, right? And so I made a paladin. My little brother made a paladin, but my mom made a warlock, right? Of all characters, I was like, Mom, why would you make a warlock, knowing that you suck a demon? She was like, well, son, I thought about what you said. And you're right. These aren't the same as like real life. I got to separate the fiction from real life. I was like, okay, all right, cool. So I was able to enjoy more things than others would. And so put that in perspective of the story, just like TD said, I tie the magic back into memory. So the reason why magic is strong is because the memory of the land is strong. So like you think about, let's just say your grandmother died, right? And you're just like, you really miss your grandma. Well, the way you kind of keep her alive is through memory, right? You remember the fun times you had with her and that sort of thing. So in Valoria, magic is like the very expression of your memory. So if you know what it is, you know what you're thinking about, you can visualize it and make it so. And all these things kind of like draw from Olorian, which is the almighty god of this particular series. And so you got three different branches of that. You have essence magic, you have um, ether magic, which is basically like mental magic. And then you also have abyssal magic. And abyssal magic isn't really magic at all. It's just power drawn from the dark forces beyond the veil. But you also have divine blessings that come from the gods as well. So a whole lot of stuff I've kind of like tied into. I didn't learn any of this from Brandon Sanderson, guys. I didn't read none of his stuff, to be honest. I didn't read nothing like that.
We
And
got. Oh, I was about to say we got some questions. Steve asked me, "What is that? What is that? A picture in my background? Those characters look awesome. That is actually that is actually Koron and his wife and Queen Nashima. Like I wanted to come up with a picture of them like they were being painted. So, and yes, there are humans in Valora because Koron and Nashima are in Valora. They're just in a land way to the south called Savaroth. Yeah, Koron, Lord of Wolves, is in the universe of Valora.
right. Yeah, and let me just show this really quick. 'Cause we showed this in the last live stream, but since it's been a while, let me just show this really quick. So eventually, Koran and all the other main heroes that we're creating and those who have already been created will meet up eventually. Here's a little concept of that very idea. So yeah, Timothy Whitefang here with Koran, right? I can already see them already having this match, this battle match, just to see who's stronger. And then you also have Lily, who meets Koran as well. The little feisty crash shot right there. she might start something with him too. You never know.
Because who is she a crash out? And then every time I see Koran standing against Timothy, I just go like, "You're big. I fought bigger."
Right. It's gonna be fun, guys. And also we have another author who's coming on board as well. Her name is Emma. You guys may have heard her voiceover. Eventually, she's going to start writing her side of the story, so that's going to be pretty interesting. But really quick, let's go back to Darren really quick. So Darren, in your world, right, to kind of tell us about some of the villains. Let's get into the villains. Like, what inspired us to write these villains? Tell us more about your villain. We'll get into ours as well.
Okay, so a little bit about the villain. Like I said, in my story, I always try to teach something, and consider yourself a Christian immediately. But I always, in no rest, I like to educate you guys that there's a battle that we fight beyond the sight. So beyond what we see physically, there's a spiritual battle. And so beyond the veil, we have the villains, Absalom, Jezebel, and Delilah. And so what Delilah and Jezebel does is they play on the strings of men. Men have strings in their back, like music strings, like guitar, violin, those type of strings. And they have 7 chords in their back. And so what Jezebel and Delilah does is they play the chords on the man's back and as a way of entry. So Delilah, she will play the strings, you know what I'm saying? The strings of lust or whatever the case may be. And once she has it open, Jezebel, which is the spirit of control, she then has control over the man and she has, spirits enter in and everything like that. And so, in Absalom, he chooses what the spirit is and things like that. And so, basically, it gets very deep. But I just want to educate people on, there's women out there that will play your strings, play your heartstrings, and will try to manipulate you and gain control. And so, although it's a fantasy, there's also a sense of realism in it. And so, my villains, you know what I'm saying? They play these strings and they try to overcome man, which is the head of the household, man, which is the power. There's man and then there's God. Men are supposed to be the head of the household. They're supposed to be the power of the household. You know what I'm saying? And so what they do is they play the strings, they try to wear them down and take control basically. And so that's just a little bit about the villains in my story. They're based off real characters. Their abilities are loosely based off what the real characters in the Bible does. Delilah, she tried to get information out of come on y'all, what's his name?
Samson.
Samson. She was trying to get information out of Samson. Oh, what makes you strong? So that's that manipulative. That the manipulative part. That's why she plays the strings. And then Jezebel, she was very controlling. And in the Bible, you know what I'm saying? And how she tried to kill all the prophets and things like that.
She was literally the high priestess of Baal. And basically, that's exactly why God said, don't marry outside of the tribe, because they're going to bring you into idolatry.
Yeah.
He also told them not to have a king, but look at where we are.
So that's just a little bit about my the villains in my story.
No, I like that. No, I like that a lot, and the fact that they're all biblically based. So I would say yours is a lot more overt. So it's like you can literally make those comparisons from your story to the Bible itself. So it's really easy to follow. I like that. I do like that a lot. And TD, go ahead, man.
What can I say?
It don't necessarily have to be Korra only. Like you can also talk about Azure Epoch and all that too.
Azure Epic. Well, since we're talking about faith inspired stuff, Grimoire, which has been my longest standing project. Um, Grimoire is basically like what if God relegated balance in nature to four entities, the aspect of the seasons, and God exists as well as Jesus. They just called him different names. Like each culture would call him something different, and it's also a fairy tale retelling. So the synopsis would be: what if Red Riding Hood, Snow White, Mulan, and Scheherazade from A Thousand and One Arabian Nights were commissioned by God to basically save nature from eternal winter? And how can I say? I finished book one of Grimoire, so there's that. Um, the whole theme of it is even when you're low, God is still there.
Yeah.
Because
Same.
Rowena, who is the main character, Red Riding Hood, she doesn't know God. She knows that something created them, but she's always heard this voice in her head, always saying history has its eyes on you. And she's what's called a Blackwooder, which is like a mercenary or a dungeon crawler. Mainly, she hunts monsters, monsters called the Dark Lore, because you know how every fairy tale is supposed to be a cautionary tale,
Right.
and the Dark Lore are the monsters from those tales. Darkness and the lore, Dark Lore. So Rowena hunts them and kills them with fervor because Dark Lore killed her parents. Um, Basically, sentient Dark Lore because they're mainly like rabid animals. Speaking basically as her mom was praying for salvation, and they didn't like that. She speaks the names. And
I don't know why it just made me think about Legion.
well,
It just
I
made
was
me think
kind of
about
going
Legion.
for that.
Yeah.
Because going like, why do you trouble us so before our allotted time? Right there, before our allotted time, you know you gonna catch this work. So
Same as the Bible.
So basically, Rowena becomes the aspect of Autumn. That's why she was able to fight Dark Lore and why she has basically superhuman attributes like tougher, faster, stronger. Like the opening scene is her and her friend Robin, who is basically Robin Hood, um, who is a blind archer in this. Basically, they're hunting Baba Yaga, and let's just say Rowena doesn't like when you mess with kids because Baba Yaga is known for eating kids.
That's a good use of Baba Yaga since that is like her story. So no, I think that's good.
So yeah, the way I wrote that is just always they all had to rely on God. They all have varying levels of faith. Like Mulan and Scheherazade would be coming in the most faithful, and Lumaya, who is Snow White, she is the least faithful because she's just suffered trauma all through her life. Like you know how in Snow White the evil queen turned into an old hag to try to poison her.
Yeah.
Just imagine if the evil queen and the old hag were two characters.
I just
The
watched
e- the evil oh Lord, I'm sorry.
Who's that?
Just imagine that if the evil queen gives Lumaya to the old hag to raise because there was a prophecy in their land that a child born of frost would bring people back to the once ways, which is what they call which is what they call the good truth, which is what they call the gospels. because this is basically like after the deluge. Like what ended the deluge, I mean what ended the first age was the deluge, and the second age, what ended that is the winterfall, which is what the world's been stuck in for 130 years.
Hmm.
So basically she's gone through trauma because the old hag is a narcissistic mother, and Lumaya accessed her powers pretty quickly, so she's cryokinetic and can turn into a giant Arctic fox.
Oh wow.
So
A giant, so not a wolf, but an Arctic fox. That's very.
yeah,
I mean, the first thing I think about is a wolf, but you said Arctic fox. I'm like, all right.
there is a wolf in it because I wrote a novella where Rowena and Robin hunt the big bad wolf, and yeah, it's the big bad wolf was a trip because it could hypnotize people. And then as she kills it, she takes one of its pups and raises it, and now it's her faithful companion, and it's a wolf big enough for her to ride like a horse.
Okay, that's interesting. Okay, no, I liked it. So I remember you had told me that you're bad at world building. So to me, it seems like you do pretty good at it, actually. I think you downplay yourself a little bit too much.
Yeah, when I say it's mainly because when I was giving my stuff to people, all they would say is, "Oh, you have good lore," or "Oh, you have good pacing," or "Oh, yeah, this is good. This should be an anime." But they wouldn't like tell me in detail what, so I can like be mindful of that, or expand on it, or what's wrong with it. Like everything they say literally could be fixed in post. Like I missed a punctuation mark here, there, or this, that, and the third.
The little stuff.
Like they never gave me good critique. And then those that did would nitpick about stuff that they don't like and just rip it apart without good reasoning why.
Yeah.
Like when I started focusing on writing Christian epic fantasy, oh, you don't want to narrow your focus on that. You could chase away potential readers. I'm going like, there's a reason why I chose to write Christian fantasy.
Christian fantasy doesn't have to be written only one way. I think a lot of times, people think it has to be too safe in order for it to be like, no. If you read the Bible, you read Revelation, read what it says. Read what it says about. Read what it says about Jesus in Revelation 19, where it talks about he's going to come back on a white horse. He's going to, press the wine press of the wrath of the Almighty God. All these things about, Christ, the battles in the end, the torture, all this stuff. You don't have to be safe.
Flaming eyes.
Yeah. You don't have to be safe. Safe in order to be a Christian author.
Yeah, Steve. In your world, I'm known by another name. It's best that you know it. And I said, yes, that's exactly what I was going for with God in Grimoire, where they all know him by a different name, and he tells them what his name is, because they're literally brought to the throne of God, and all of them, while being there, literally in the same space, but in different points of their, well, not of their life, is concurrent with each other. They all experience it a certain way. Rowena can't believe what she's seeing. Mulan, who is of martial arts, she has a martial arts background. All she can do is, which is a martial arts salute, grand respect, and she calls him the Great Dragon. And Lumaya is just crying because this soothing presence is here when she's known nothing but coldness and hurt. And Scheherazade, who is the most pious of them, begins to sing. And keep in mind, Scheherazade, I kept true to the lore. She was almost murdered by her husband, where she had to keep telling him stories to keep her neck off the chopping block.
We're going to get into that a little more. And really quick, because I know we're at like 45 minutes in as well. Let me just show this really quick,
I
guys.
feel like I took over. I'm sorry.
No,
y'all.
no, no. You're good. No, you didn't take over at all. Like I said, this is a time where people can go ahead and share their stories a bit, talk about what they, where they come from. Just to show you guys just really good, just a little quick intermission. If you guys haven't done it yet, go ahead and sign up for the Kickstarter for the Burrow and the Blade. I'll have more information on the early bird rewards later on. So that way you guys can take a look at that. Look on Kickstarter, look up Sagas of Loria, the Burrow and the Blade. So as we get into this, we talked about some of our villains. Now, Privy, before I get into mine, Darren, or I keep calling you Privy. Darren,
My friend does too. She calls me Mr. Privy.
And now, I remember asking you this before, but I forgot what you said about it, because obviously you, and this goes back to what Steve was saying, I think yours is be more qualified as a Christian fantasy. So obviously they get their powers from God, right? So does the enemy, do they get their powers from Satan, or is he mentioned in that story, or how's that all go?
So with as far as the enemy, they have so when we talk about powers from God, it's called dunamai, play off dunamis. Dunamis power, the power to do. And that's biblical. So their power is called dunamai. And so the enemy's power is called chaos, spelled with a K. Okay. And so the thing is, they have power, but it drains them. It has a cost. You may, like the restless, they get their power from chaos, but it makes them look ugly. You know what I'm saying? They look very weak and feeble, but they have power. You know what I'm saying? So right. That's the cost of using chaos, a power given from hell. But when it comes to Dunamai, you know what I'm saying? They get their power from God, and it's done responsibly. And you can't just, I'm gonna make this object fly across the room. Like, no, there's rules and regulations to using the power, which is to help other people come out of this situation, which is to go and perform deliverance, freeing people from demonic oppressions and spirits and things like that. You know what I'm saying? That's what Dunamai is used for. And so that's the power system. So yeah, the enemy gets their power from hell, which is chaos, spelled with a K. And then the protagonists, they get their power from Dunamai, which is the play of Dunamis.
Okay,
and so my thing is, when it comes to magic and Christian fantasy, I believe you can have kind of weary when it comes to teaching your readers how to use magic, or a little bit of this kind of root and this kind of spell and this kind of cast and mix it in.
Right.
When it comes to teaching them how to perform spells, I think that's a big no-no. But you can be like, does that make sense? It's like you can have it, but don't teach them how to delve into it.
Yeah, because I've actually, like I told you, I said I do apologetics, so I had to I had to know what the enemy has, in the story. So it's kind of like I know that stuff. It's like that's the stuff I'm trying to avoid,
Right.
So it's like, you know what I'm saying? So I've actually looked into, for example, the Book of Thoth. I read the Satanic Bible, all these things, and then compared it to what the scriptures actually have to say. And it's like, for one, let me just say it's extremely dark. It's incredible how perverse and reversed it is in comparison to the Bible. But secondly, you can also see the differences between that versus fictional magic. So my system, for example, is completely just created out my brain. So I avoid using, what I'm saying? I'll use an example. Have you guys seen Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, if you haven't seen it, now I love Marvel, right? But Marvel doesn't shy away from using actual stuff. There's a scene where Doctor Strange actually does the incantation that is 100% legit. It's completely 100% legit. And I'm just like, okay, I feel uncomfortable with that, right?
Yeah.
And, so when I'm going through my story, I'm making stuff up. I'm not trying to use anything that came before as far as my magic system.
Same.
You know what I'm saying? So that way I can avoid an issue like that.
When I do it, I'm just basically saying you're saying a word and you're commanding that thing to change. That's all that is. I don't like incantations. Just like in Vampire Diaries in the originals, they found out that they were actually saying incantations, so they had to change stuff up. And I'm going like, yeah, y'all need to do research.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's and to Steve's point too. Let me also mention this because he brought up a very good point, where he says there's a difference between Christian fantasy and fantasy written by Christians, and
Yeah.
that's where I was going with previous stuff. I would say that falls in the line of Christian fantasy, like quite literally. Whereas like what I'm creating is more like a fiction created or fantasy created by a Christian author. So
Same.
like whereas like you still have those Christian undertones. I'll use an example. Mirrors, you know, she is actually based off a few things, and one of those things would be Jesus. Early in the prologue, she goes to war against Vermac, who is this plague sworn. He's a corrupted rat who leads all these other rats to go against the Berlins. And so she goes into the hollow for 3 days, right? What does that remind you of, right? 3 days. You know, she goes in for
Right.
3 days,
3 days. Yeah.
defeats the enemy, and then she comes back up, which represents the resurrection, right? Now, obviously, for anyone else who's reading the story, they wouldn't notice anything like that. Not really, you know. But for those who are Christian, they're like, "Oh, wait a minute, I see what you did there," you know. So, you know, I did it in a way where the gospel is still being presented without actually saying, you know, verbatim, you know, for example, 1 Corinthians 15, 1-4, right? You know, I'm trying to avoid, like you just said, previous. I'm avoiding preaching, but at the same time, I kind of am if you actually know what you're looking for. So, to the
See, oh, go ahead.
go ahead. No, go ahead.
My thing is, when it comes to being a Christian author, whether you have Christian fantasy or you have fantasy written by a Christian, there's always some type of guidelines and some type of
Oh
rule
yeah,
Mm-hmm.
that you're saying. And
exactly.
so you can do, like, I don't disagree with anything that you guys are doing. You know what I'm saying? I'm for it. I like it. But the thing is, we
No, I get
have
you, man.
to, you know, we have standards. You know what I'm saying? Don't never let nobody feel like what you're doing is too much, or you know what I'm saying. But you know what God asks of you. You know what I'm saying? You know the boundaries and what not to do and things like that. And so when it comes to being a Christian author, you just have to make sure you're looking at those boundaries and you don't over, you know, you don't cross over. Like coming up, my mom never banned me from watching Harry Potter. She never banned me from watching stuff like that.
I
But what she
was.
did was she taught me the difference.
Right.
Like I will watch it and then I will try to repeat the spell. So, don't say that.
Oh, you actually tried to repeat it. Okay.
Yeah,
Yeah.
like I didn't know the dangers of it. But what
Okay.
she did was she taught me. She's like, okay, you can watch this, but make sure you're not doing this. You know what I'm saying? You
Mhm.
have to understand the boundaries. You know, they say spells, they say this, that it's okay. You watch it, but don't intake it. Don't repeat it. Don't do what they do. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
She set the standards. And so instead of banning me from fantastical things, she more so educated me on what was happening and my job as a Christian. You know what I'm saying?
Hmm. No, I like that. And that, you know, I was banned from certain things for at least for a little while before my mom was like, okay, you know what you're doing. Like, you can go ahead and watch. I trust you. You know, but for a little while, I was banned from Pokemon for a short while. I was definitely banned from Harry Potter, you know, the whole craze and all that. And I was like, Mom, trust me, I have no interest in in going that way. You know, I just think it's just fun stuff, whatever. But really quick to the villains, I'm gonna show two of those villains. One of those actually showed before, which was the sorceress. I haven't named her in the book. I have named her in the lore, but I haven't named her in the book. And so she has two forms. It's kind of similar to what you were saying, Darian. But I take my inspiration from Lovecraft. I take my inspiration from what you see in scripture as well. But this is the sorceress, right? She has two forms. And initially, you see her in her veiled form, where she's like this beautiful but yet dark woman. You know, she speaks really well. She's very deceptive in a lot of ways. She's extremely powerful as well. But then, you know, there's a part in the story where she reveals her true form, and that true form can definitely scar people within the world to a point where they are drawn into insanity. So a lot of that stuff I got inspired from Lovecraft and others. But not every villain is the supernatural beast, right? So we have other villains as well. We have Elias, for example. Elias, he's like this guy who really hates beasts of all kinds. He hates Baybacks. He hates the Marifers. He hates, bears. He hates all of them, right? He sees man as supposed to as being like a tyrant, right? And so you see like that type of divide within the book. You also have like the Jackal. Now I'm not going to tell you guys who the Jackal is, but the Jackal plays a very prominent part in the book. And I would say he's probably like the most interesting character in both good characters and bad characters. The Stumper is probably like the most. Sorry, the Jackal is probably the most interesting character in the book. And so you guys read about him, you guys can be like, oh wow, he's actually pretty cool. But at the same time, he's a very broken soul. And so a lot of that stuff is actually representative too, though, of people in real life, right? There are people who are just pure evil, who just wants to cause trouble no matter what. But then you also have people who are just broken souls who are doing things where they think it's for the right reason, but they're not. And you have just, deceived people, just people just going about life and they just do bad things. So I'll cover all sorts of evil within the book. Good guys are truly good, bad guys are truly bad. And we also deal with the gray as well. And the gray is not really gray; it's actually black and white. People just think it's gray. So we deal with all that, And one of the comments I had from one of the beta readers, she was like, she's very happy that the good guys are truly good. They're not like, committing acts of evil and all these. I'm like, no, I get it. Like I'm trying to bring us all back to where you can trust the good guys to do what they're supposed to do, and expect the bad to do the bad.
Right. Yeah. I had wanted to share one like example. I'll give you guys a little tidbit, like Priscilla. Priscilla, one of her abilities is her ability is to speak, and things begin to happen. So and that's very biblical. You know what I'm saying? But in the physical form, when she says stop, the demon really cannot move. Or when she says move, there's waves that ripple, and the demon has to. You know what I'm saying? It pushes things. It pushes objects. Her voice has physical power. So think about what's the show in the desert? The desert show. And they live in a desert. The mom has the ability to speak. And her words have physical power. I forget. Dune. Like in Doom, like the women, they have this ability to speak, and physical power manifests. And so, like,
Oh,
Priscilla,
dude. Okay. Yeah.
yeah, like Priscilla, she
The
would walk
Bene
in and she'll
the
be like,
Bene
move.
Gesserit.
Yeah, she'll be like, move. Yeah, that's what they're called. And she'll be like, move. And then you will see ripples in the atmosphere, and it will cause an object to move. You know what I'm saying? Idea or inspiration from when I'm bad at names, y'all. I'm pretty sure you know this by now. But
Just describe them real quick.
the woman, she's been around she's an elf. She's been around for thousands of years.
Is it Galadriel or is it Arwen?
Galadriel, yeah, her.
Okay.
When she was speaking to Galadriel, when she spoke to the evil force, and she was like, "You're nameless. You're powerless. You have no business here." You know what I'm saying? So,
I think that was in The Hobbit. Yeah.
yeah, when she said, I was like, "Ooh, that's powerful." That gave me chills. That scene, she was like, "You're powerful. You're powerless. You're nameless. You have no power here." That I took inspiration from that, and I gave it to some of my protagonists in the No Rest series.
And just a little shout out really quick because I know we got some questions here too. Just a little shout out to those who don't know. Gandalf is actually an angel. Like he's the equivalent of an angel in our world. So the Maya, which is he's like I think he's one of the lesser Maya, if I'm correct. Lord of the Rings people they can correct me on that, but he's one of the lesser Maya. He was sent by the Valar in order to do
Maiar. That's right. That's what they're called.
Mm-hmm. So yeah, see my Tolkien knowledge is up there still. But really quick question to Privy here. Let me see. Marion asks, is the Privy like a sanctuary to be replenished, like a temple or a retreat place?
So basically, the Privy, there's going to be so much more when it comes to the Privy. It's a theme is where I publish my books out of. Sneak peek is going to be a cafe one of these days, but the Privy is just my thing. You know what I'm saying? And when it comes to the world in my book, they're in the travail, which is a place in time that takes place after the rapture. And so demons walk freely, and they torture the restless and the people that were left behind for a while.
That's actually part of my story in Heaven's Heroes a while back. Go ahead, I like that. I like that.
So they're in this time zone called the travail. It's like a safe space because the sisters are from this kingdom called Nick, and they have a cafe called the Privy, which is the safe space. This is where the restless come and other people come to get some type of relaxation, some type of rest. You know what I'm saying? Because there's no rest in the world, no rest for the wicked. That's the theme of the story. But they come to the Privy to gain some sense of rest and escape. And so, yeah, in real life, when I created the Privy Cafe, that's going to be a place for people to come, enjoy coffee, sweets, maybe a little food, music. This is going to be a place for you to come and relax and escape from the world. And so that's basically what it is. The Privy is a safe space and a safe idea. So when it comes to my book, I want people to come, Christians, to come read a book about an epic fantasy that won't put your spirit or your soul in danger because of witchcraft or diving too far into the dark side. You know, it's the Privy. It's safe. Come enjoy and be safe. You know.
All right. I like that. All right, and let me see. Mary had another one here. I think. Yeah. Oh, well, hold on. Steve also asked. He said, "Will there be an audio book for the Burn and Blade?" There's going to be like an audio drama. That's the goal right now. Yeah, exactly. I love audio dramas. I like the music and everything. I like the sound effects because it makes the imagination a lot more effective, a lot more immersive.
Mhm.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'm working towards an audio drama. If you guys look on the YouTube page, we have one audio story which is at 3.5K views right now. So that one is blowing up right now. That one's a short story based on the north part of the continent. And then we also have a little snippet of Emma doing a rendition of the prologue. So yeah, this audio drama is definitely going to be on its way.
Same.
I may eventually do like a fundraiser for some of the stuff because that costs money. Voice actors cost money. So after the book comes out and people read it, I'll definitely get the fundraiser out because I want to make sure people like what they read first, and then I'll get the audiobook out. And Tudor,
Yeah.
what about you, man?
What about me? Oh,
Yeah, man, you be quiet over there now. Me and Darren took it over. What's going on?
I was just observing. I mean, well, not observing. I was just listening to y'all. What I was gonna say, continuing up about Grimoire, is the way my wife, when she was reading it, one of her favorite parts was how I ended a chapter when they meet God, and Rowena basically says, "Why did you let my parents die?" Because one thing I always find funny about people is that they'll attribute not following God or being atheist because
Because they
God,
lost someone.
yeah, they lost someone. Like all of a sudden now I want to be pissed at my creator. And I'm going like, you ever think maybe that person had nothing else left in this world and God said it's time to come on home? But basically God tells her that I didn't do that. She was taken from here. And then so, first non-believer trying to question God about this, that, and the third. Then I basically emulate the burning bush scene. Who made man's mouth? Who made the mute, the deaf, the seeing, or the blind? Did not I? Now go. And then it's like basically God is reaffirming his authority, but then immediately comforts her and say, no matter what, I'll be here as close as a shadow.
I like that.
Yeah. There's something similar in my story too. Similar in my story too, where Deborah's like, if you wanted me to continue fighting this fight, why would you take my baby from me?
No.
Because she lost, she suffered loss.
Yeah, there are parts of the story in Burn and Blade where it's like that, and then the equivalent, like I said, Mirrors is like a reflection of Christ in the story. And so she comes and empowers the protagonist to overcome those fears, those doubts. And so it's stuff I've actually experienced in my own life where I felt like I can't do anything. And so,
I'm sorry.
no, you're good. You're good. And then Christ would just empower me to go ahead and just overcome those struggles. It's part of the reason why I'm so confident, because it's not so much confidence in myself, but it's confidence in Christ and what He gives me to do. And really quick, there's because Steve wanted to know, are you doing an audiobook for the Privy?
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, I'm doing that. I've recorded some chapters already, because when I released the book, shortly after, not too long, maybe a month or so, I don't know, I want to release the audio book as well. And so I'm working on both things at the same time. It's a lot of work, but I'm doing it. And so, there was an audio book Privy series.
Yeah. And let me, because Marion also brought. Oh no, I was just going to read this part because Marion brought a good point to a discussion we had a little bit earlier. But she said, I think both Christian writers writing fantasy and Christian fantasy are needed. There will be people with different sensibilities and convictions that will still want to read clean fantasy. I think every style is beneficial as long as it's not preachy. And that's exactly right. She's on board. And by the way, Marion, we're trying to get you as the fourth writer over here. So if you want.
Oh Lord!
I'm not sure if TD told you yet, but I was like, "Hey, we need to get her on board over here."
Oh Lord! I know that she can write poetry. I'm still teaching her on writing prose.
You know what though?
I'm a prose. Yeah, I'm definitely a poet right here.
Tolkien also had poetry in the Silmarillion, and I think in a couple of his books where he had poetry. So there's a place for it. Like I said, he and other authors are the inspiration. So hey, if she wants to bring poetry to the game,
yeah, and definitely in my books and the way I write, my written voice is very poetic. There's prose, yeah, but is you'll be able to tell it's hints of poetry in there. This is very poetic. It has a poetic flow. But yeah.
I think that's good.
So in other words, love, you're welcomed.
Were you about to say something there, Derek? I think.
I don't know. I just kind of had some type of unction. You know what I'm saying? When we were talking about the idea of loss, why would you take this from me? Why would God take this from me if He wanted me to do this? Blase, blase. And like in my story, I want those very real moments. And if you wanted me to continue on fighting for your people, why would you take my child? And eventually there's an answer given in the story. So I have those real moments of low, those real questions that people ask when they can, maybe not in the first book, but there will be in later books, the question of slavery and why God allowed this, or why God sends people to hell, or why God does. I want to be able to answer all those questions in my book, but in a subtle way. I want to make sure they have the answers. If you haven't noticed, I'm very evangelistic. And so I pride myself on spreading the gospel. But when it comes to my book, I don't want to overbear the readers. Another thing God told me is I was a bridge. You know what I'm saying? Using entertainment to bring people over to Christianity, but not push it down nobody's throat. It's a subtle way of come over. I hope you're entertained. But boom, here you go. Now that you're over here, you know what I'm saying? And so, I just wanted to emphasize that I have very real moments in my book, and I seek to answer those type of questions throughout the series.
Yeah, I think that's definitely needed. I mean, coming from the side of being an evangelist myself and an apologist, I can definitely appreciate that. If anything, I definitely do support it. One of these days I had to get you up there to Nashville with us, where we do. We've been doing some evangelism around Nashville. We're actually going down to Florida too, and a couple other places, but we'll be talking about that on my other channel.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. You too, Titty, because I know you were talking about you wanted to do it. We'll drag you out of Florida and come on with us,
"Hmm."
man.
Good, man.
But yeah, man. Let me also share this too, though, because we're talking about the audio. But I'm just gonna share the little snippet from Emma. She's not here today, and also she's a sister in Christ. Just let y'all know. But I'm gonna play this little bit,
I
kind of give her a
love
little
this,
shine
man.
here.
I really love it. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No, you're good. You're good, man. Like, don't worry about that. Yeah, I'm gonna just play this little bit so that way you guys can hear her and just give her a little shine as well.
Years flowed by. Seasons came and went like whispers in tunnels. Heroes rose and were buried in root and stone. But the story of Brightpaw endured, woven into lullabies and carved into hearthstones, whispered in prayer and shouted in battle. And now, in the quiet hours before a new storm, the name stirs again. For the deep dark stirs again, as it did in the days of plague and flame. Something old, something forgotten. Over 15 centuries have passed since Brightpaw's stand. And now, as shadows lengthen once more, a descendant of trade and legacy, one who bears the name Merifer, walks unknowingly toward the fire Brightpaw once lit. And this time, the blade will not rise alone.
So I just think she did an excellent job with that. Her inflections. She knew where to emphasize. The emotion. That was like the last part of the prologue that she read off for me, and so she's been a little bit sick right now, and she's going to school, so she's doing this on her off time. So I definitely appreciate her. Just want to give her a shout out. Thank you, Emma, for that.
Yeah, man. Very her writing style is very similar to mine.
Yeah, you killed that, Emma.
Yeah. She did absolutely excellent on that one. So yeah, we've been going on for about an hour. Didn't want to bring it on for too long, guys. But any closing thoughts, really quick, before we wrap this up?
Keep playing Sega games.
This guy.
You guys can follow me on all platforms at Darian D. Landrum, TikTok, Instagram, Facebook, all that. And the page for my book is on Facebook. No Rest, a Privy Saga by Darian D. Landrum. So yeah, if you follow me on Facebook, you'll be able to find a page.
And y'all can follow me, TD McIntosh, Substack, TikTok, and Facebook, and the Seeker's Journal for Azure Epic on Facebook.
There we go. And if you guys are looking to for that link, the link to Privy Saga is in the description. Actually, I forgot to put it there. So yeah, look at the description there. You guys can definitely go ahead and follow him there. As far as TD McIntosh, if you guys already follow me, you'll already see his stuff anyway. So yeah, just look up the Seeker's Journal, and of course follow us here as well, because while supporting me, you're also supporting him as well. But yeah, and also sign up for that Kickstarter, y'all. We can definitely use that that assistance, that support. Like and share and comment. Let me just say this real quick. I thank every last one of y'all who's been supporting. I can't believe how many people has been pouring into this, man. That's just crazy to me. I gotta thank God first of all, but also, like I said, thank you guys for even taking the time to listen to some of the stories. Watch the trailers. Look at all the lore we've been building up. That's been really, really great. I mean, it's inspired me, because I'm like, look, I'm making this for my mama, and just to see how many other people wanted this as well. Oh my goodness, my cat over here trying to come up here. It's half the time. Oh, you lucky you're about to end up.
And my dog is whining.
You're like, what y'all doing over here?
Yeah, pets and kids always want some attention.
Mm-hmm. Lord.
And so Mary, she said she nailed the epic fantasy tone, beautiful and clear, impressed by the sound quality. Yeah, and then as far as I'm concerned, I've been learning like the whole sound aspect of how to make it sound more cinematic. So I just told her, just send that over to me, and I'll go ahead and put her up there. So yeah. Hey, thank you guys, TD, Darian, and make sure we do this again pretty soon.
Of course.
Stay safe.
All right, see you guys.